So my name is Prerit Shah. I'm a product manager for AI platforms and ML ops here at Equinor. I work and live here in Houston. I wanted to give you a little bit of overview of how we have used Kubeflow in the company at Equinor and how it has made a difference. So in the past, people have struggled with ML ops in the company, right? That there hasn't been as much maturity about the tools and the platforms and the solutions out there. With the arrival of Kubeflow, it became possible for data scientists and machine learning engineers to kind of leverage Kubernetes even without having to learn so much deeper about the Kubernetes, like dealing with YAMLs. So our data scientists, we primarily use Kubeflow in the data science and machine learning community. And one thing is that for data scientists, it's very, very hard for them to come up to speed to learn about Kubernetes. And it's a lot of learning curve, steep learning curve. So they absolutely from day one hate to deal with YAMLs, or they hate to deal with kubectls. So they need a simpler way of kind of leveraging these capabilities from Kubernetes, but without having to deal with the complexities that Kubernetes brings. So I think for us in the company, Kubeflow brings just that simplicity, allowing our data scientists to be more independent, our machine learning engineers to help the teams and deploy the models on the table. So one of the primary features, we have like multiple type of users. There are advanced data scientists, advanced users who know a lot about Python and the coding, but there are also users who are just getting started with Python, and everybody needs like quick access to experiment. So I think one thing that everybody likes about Kubeflow is that containerized notebook server environment. And with that, people can get to code faster, can create project-specific Docker images for their environments, for their projects, and that really helps them a lot. Another aspect is about the pipelines. So in the Kubeflow ecosystem, we have tools like Alira, which allows pipeline automation. So we had an intern here, actually, who was here only for 12 weeks, and when they did the project, they could also stitch the pipeline without really having to learn about the pipeline packages from scratch, because they had these type of automation tools with the drag and drop editor to build the pipelines. Another thing is Kubeflow's integration with Kserve. That has really made life easier for data scientists to deploy the models in a more self-sufficient way with a little bit of hand-holding. So that I think really is a key. I think and now they don't really have to write as much boilerplate code like they have to in the past. If they didn't have this, then they would be writing like Flask application in Kubernetes and Kubernetes deployments, which they don't really have to deal with. And it still brings underlying value of scalability, flexibility, and ease of configuration, and all that Kserve brings. So those are the benefits, I think, and the things that we have started leveraging the Kubeflow for. There are some wish list I have for the community, which I think would be nice things that would be nice to see in Kubeflow in coming days and months. So we have a multi-tenancy. I know Kubeflow offers multi-user tenancy, but it would have been nice to see if we can align it with the org structure or different organizations somehow. It would be nice to have that type of feature, I think. Another thing is for data versioning. So there is a DVC open source project for data versioning, but it would be nice to have some sort of integration with the UI where things can be done from UI rather than relying on users to go and do things on their own in the command line. I think that makes life easier. Then we can deploy the models from the endpoints from the Kserve for using Kubeflow UI, but having an ability to secure and provide authentication to those models by removing users and things like that would be helpful, I think. Because currently, if you deploy the internal URL, if it's available, anyone on the cluster can call those models. So having some sort of ability to configure that from UI. Another wish list is model governance from the UI. So being able to kind of have some sort of review and track the process of who has reviewed what model in what stage of approval process the models are, or the pipelines are. That would be nice feature to have bring some sort of model governance into Kubeflow's ecosystem. And when we adopted Kubeflow, there were two important holes, I would say, that we were facing to a lake of two features. So one of them was Although Kubeflow has a native experimentation tracking feature, a lot of our users like MLflow. So we natively actually integrated MLflow with our own Kubeflow installation internally. So we have a installation. Our users can actually deploy their own MLflow plugin or MLflow instance for each user or each project from the UI itself. So that's the plugin we have built. Another plugin is we are Azure. We are basically everything is built on top of Azure ecosystem. So we needed to ability to mount Azure's blob storage as a volume, blob as a storage volume through UI, and that's another plugin that we have in-house internally developed. So those are the things. I think would be nice to see if we can also bring it into open source community and make it available for the wider community. That would be our wish. And one last thing would be we would prefer to have simplification of hyperparameter tuning. Currently, I know the hyperparameter tuning is there, but a lot of configuration through YAML is required before it can be much useful. So I think it would be good to have that simplification there. And then the feature store integration through UI would be helpful as well. So that's pretty much it from my side.